These are my Matrix glasses. Picked these up when I was in the Matrix. They're all the rage there now. If you've been in the Matrix lately, you'll see everybody wearing these. Problem is when you're in, when you come back into the three-dimensional world, the effects of gravity don't keep them on your face. Now in the Matrix, gravity is just simulated, series of zeros and ones. So I want to talk about this advanced technology and miracles, because this Arthur C. Clarke famous quote, I think it was a British inventor, he says, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And people have been using that same quote and applying it to miracles as well. And I want to say that the inverse is true as well, that miracles can be considered sufficiently advanced technology. However, we'll see the miracles in the Bible, many of them are the kind of thing that can't be duplicated even with technology, although they are technology. The thing is, the power involved in the access to extra-dimensional realms and those kinds of things is not available to humankind. But it's advanced technology nonetheless, and I want to look at some of the technology that could be behind the miracles of some of the miracles of the Bible. First, I want to talk about characteristic miracles. And there's a passage in the Bible where the characteristics of miracles is directly addressed. This is during Korah's rebellion, and I want to bring this up. For one thing, you might have heard Islamic apologists claiming that the Quran is a miracle. Well, and the reason they say that is because it's eloquent prose. Muhammad, being illiterate, wouldn't be able to produce that kind of eloquent poetry and literary skills. So the problem is that eloquent prose is not beyond human capabilities. I mean, it's something that has been done regularly by gifted humans. We're not unfamiliar with eloquent prose. It's something that can be accomplished and has been accomplished by humans all along. So it's not characteristic of the kind of miracle that is described in the Bible. And this is what I want to talk about now. If you're familiar with Numbers 16 and Korah's rebellion, basically what happened was Korah family stole some stuff that was supposed to be sacrificed to God. And so the Israelis didn't know about it, but then next time they went into battle, they suffered defeat. And so Moses inquired of God, and God told him, well, this is what happened. So you suffered this defeat because there's sin in the camp, somebody's stealing something, So, and by the way, there's an interesting aside here. There's somebody wrote a book. I saw a documentary on YouTube where this was mentioned. I think Berean Beacon was the channel. They were interviewing an author. Unfortunately, I forget the name of the book and I forget the name of the interview. But all I know was the interview about 2012. Okay, so if you find that interview in 2012, this is the author that had wrote another book about this things that happened to negative things that happened to America because we opposed Israel in recent days. Our opposition to Gaza settlement. He has documented that when the last Israeli settler left from Gaza, that was when the American construction industry just dropped off to nothing. The bottom fell out. The very thing that we were opposing Israel happened to us. And he's got a whole book of examples. There's something else, I forget what the other example is, but something from very contemporary times where America suffered the consequences of directly the very thing that they were opposing Israel for. And this is that kind of thing where God is controlling events from behind the scenes. But Moses talks about this this is the characteristic of a miracle that God performs, as opposed to something like, eloquent prose of the Quran. Reading from Numbers 16, verse 28, then Moses said, "This is how you will know that the Lord Yahweh has sent me to do all these things, and that it was not my idea. If these men die a natural death and suffer the fate of all mankind, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord Yahweh brings about something totally new, and the earth opens its mouth and swallows them with everything that belongs to them, and they go down alive into the realm of the dead, then you will know that these men have treated the Lord Yahweh with contempt." So you see, this is something that's outside of the ability of wandering Jews to pull this off. I guess you could say, well, okay, well, here's what they did. They booby trapped. They knew there was some quicksand there, and they booby trapped it, and they had this guy stand on that plot of ground, and then something like that. But that's stretching things to the point of ridiculous. So I want to talk about the kind of technology that would be involved in some of the miracles in the Bible. I think specifically two of the most interesting ones are Jesus feeding 5,000 and walking on water. Now, what you have to do, feed 5,000 people, you have some fish, half a dozen fish and half a dozen pieces of bread. You got to multiply these. Okay, well, there's probably enough energy in the quantum foam, 0-point energy. You could draw that out. Of course, energy, sufficient energy, can be transformed into matter. Of course, now we want to, you're not just trying to transform this into arbitrary, electrons and positrons and pions and, nucleons and so forth. You have to have, your very specific amounts and arrangements of atoms in order to duplicate fish and duplicate bread. Bread is particularly interesting because it's a process of baked and cooked and so forth, which is interesting too. I mean, this miracle of the bread, for instance, I think speaks to the issue of God creating galaxies formed and in motion. That process was the process itself has no history. Okay, you see that bread and those fish, they had no history. That those fish weren't at one point eggs, and that bread at one point wasn't just wheat. You see, it came as bread without a history. Which is speaks very loudly to the issue of the creation of the universe in motion and with all systems go. But this is what you'd have to do. You would have to take the energy, I guess what you'd take background energy, and have it transformed into these molecules and so forth, and arranged in such a way that they are bread. There's an arrangement of molecules that not just suggests bread, but is bread. An arrangement of molecules is not just suggest fish, is fish. It's not like one of these artificially flavored concoctions made out of soy or something. Walking on water, we have some anti-gravity devices now, and they're just starting to, come into development, early stages. But this is something, Jesus did at will. Would require some kind of anti-gravity type of on technology. Could you, for instance, consciously? I know we can't do it, but I mean, Jesus would have to have done? Would maybe consciously alter the spins of his the atoms that make up his structure in such a way that they have that repulsion, anti-gravity effects. The other thing to do is just somehow, it could have changed the nature of the space between his body and the water. There's some kind of, it's very sophisticated technology. It's very difficult to understand, exactly what he did there in terms of walking, walking on water, because it was, local phenomena. And he was able to project it onto Peter temporarily, and Peter started to, dealt and started sinking. And Jesus was able to overcome that and transport them both into the boat and onto the shore. Well, there's some other miracles too that we could talk about in terms of the the technology involved. There was like a teleportation of Philip in the Book of Acts, where he's bodily transported to another location. I mean, there's got to be, you got to have some way to do that. I mean, just because God's doing it, we can't figure it out, doesn't mean it wasn't done with some kind of mechanics. I mean, God uses mechanics. It's the whole idea behind seeing God in creation. God wants us to do that. He wants us to recognize His power in the creation. And what's the creation? Well, creation's energy and matter. And so we're supposed to understand that God uses energy and matter, and He can use it for miracles too. And in ways that right now, I mean, wouldn't know how to begin to approach the technology involved in some of those things. Obviously, it's very it's very difficult, but. Let's look at, for instance, when Jesus showed up in the locked room, the upper room. He just shows up without opening the door. You could walk through a wall. If you were able to polarize your quantum states of your molecular makeup in such a way that the probability would be that you show up on the other side of the wall. You're actually, and by the way, the whole probability wave function and so forth, I think is very primitive. Needs to be developed further to the point where probability actually has a mechanical reality behind it. It's not just some kind of philosophical probability wave. There's actually mechanics that we don't understand yet. And probability is a way to just shovel it under the carpet for now, until we can understand the interpretation. But I think that it's probably useful for, in today's society, everybody's so scientific minded and thinks that somehow science disproved the Bible. I think that basically you're looking at the wrong way. That we got to see that the science in the Bible is so far advanced that we don't understand it. We can begin to understand some of what's necessary to get the job done. But I don't think I'm not suggesting that we have access to those, technology to do it ourselves. Something that God, can elect to do. Use a person as an agent. Something like that, but it's not. We're not talking about technologies that I think are ever going to be available to humans. done some of the stuff. We've seen, blind people cured and so forth. We usually do it, with some kind of invasive surgery, even if it's laser surgery. Did Jesus do something like that for blind people? Where, yeah, he absolutely had to do something to. It seems that he transformed the defects in their eyes and made them, perfected them so that they were able to, function properly. And that's done, it's done through mechanical means of, miraculous mechanical means. And to me, when I say miraculous, I'm meaning technology that's so far advanced that it's not accessible to four-dimensional beings. And I believe Jesus had access to the extra-dimensional realms and was able to, to utilize the physics of the extra-dimensional. And that's all you would need to do. And when I say all, I'm not saying that in certain terms of its simple, it's not available to us. That's all. So that's from food for thought for the doubters and the people that think that science has disproved the Bible. Got to look at the other way around. Look at the science, the advanced technology that's in the Bible, and we can see. I mean, to me, this is what God wants us to do. We see how powerful and great He is, and if you just dismiss it like, oh well, it's magic or something like that, that I think sells it short. It doesn't get to the depth of the awesomeness of the whatever God is doing there. I think the more we understand the details, the more we can appreciate the power and the depth and the wisdom involved in conducting miracles. Of course, creation itself. And I always, if you ever watch any of my other videos, I'm always complaining the fact that everybody, it's been prevalent in science and religion and philosophy to look at creation backwards, and what they're doing is they're looking at like this idea of creation out of nothing, that there was nothing, and then God said, let there be something. And that's not what happens. It's not biblical. It's not what the Bible says, and it doesn't make sense. And it's the other way around. God is everything. He was everything before the universe existed. He was omnipresent before the universe existed. He was eternal before the universe existed. He was omniscient and omnipotent before the universe existed. He was all-powerful. And so you can't have God plus the universe equaling more power than just God alone. It's not like God was there and then there was some additional power. So God plus something, some more power, and then you got the universe. The way to look at it is, okay, how did God, the understand creation of the universe, how did God retract His power in such a way to provide an environment for finite beings? What were the retraction mechanisms? What's the transformation down that God had to take, to pull Himself away from the all-powerful environment that He exists in, to provide this environment that we're in? That's the way to look at it. That's the right way to look at it. The way it's been approached, maybe for the last, I don't know how many thousands of years, has been not unbiblical and backwards. So, hope you enjoy some food for thought. Think about this, and of course, respond as you wish.